Have you ever gone to a museum, looked at Japanese armor, and thought, okay, but it all looks the same? Well, let me show you this. These are the earliest fragments of armor ever found in Japan. They date back to the Yayoi period, about 2,000 years ago. Possibly brought over from mainland China, this earliest example was made of wood, bamboo, or even leather, and covered in lacquer. From here, Japanese armor goes through many changes depending on the needs of the people at the time. In this episode, I'll tell you about some of those changes and why they happened. You'll find that the armor you're looking at is not always the same. Spots! Kofun burial mounds were being erected for kings and other important people all through the Kansai area. Next to these mounds, clay figures called haniwa were placed. It is in these haniwa that we find the next big innovation to armor, the tanko armor. This is the first example of steel being used in making armor. An example of tanko armor has been excavated along with a helmet and shoulder pads. The armor and helmet were made of steel plates riveted together. It fit onto the warrior like a turtle shell and was tied at the front. The helmet was placed on the head as a sort of hat that only protected the head. This armor was not flexible at all and was worn by lower-class warriors. Since the excavated armor was pretty rusty, Kansai University replicated the tanko armor. Here it is. At the same time, another type of armor was being used by aristocrats. This was the keiko armor. The keiko armor was made of hundreds of tiny steel plates about 5 centimeters long. Each of the plates had holes punched into them and then tied together with cord. This made the armor much more flexible to move around in. Different from the tanko armor, a skirt to protect the lower torso and thighs was added. This was called kusazuri. The kusazuri hung from the upper part of the armor in 2 parts, one on the left side and one on the right side. Again, a beautiful replica was made to give an idea as to what it looked like. Next, we come to a part of Japanese history that is called the Kaku period. The kanji for this period literally means white sky. There is no documented or archaeological evidence for armor during this period. A few theories suggest that armor was not necessary at this time, or the keiko armor was possibly repaired and reused. As it stands now, there is no knowledge of armor development or innovations. All of a sudden, we get our first documented mention of the type of armor we all may know the best, O-yoroi, worn by aristocrats. The O-yoroi was quite possibly the next innovation after the keiko armor because they are so similar. The O-yoroi was pieced together like the keiko armor, but in a more intricate way so that the steel plates cannot be seen under the cording. This made the armor more rigid. The main part of the O-yoroi is tied at the side rather than at the front. The sleeves, called O-sode, become much larger to protect the shoulders, side, and arms. The kusazuri skirt covers 4 sides as opposed to 2. Since the aristocrats wearing this armor rode on horseback, they made the kusazuri on the front and back shorter to accommodate for the saddle. The sides were longer where protection was most needed. The helmet has also become quite exaggerated, adding a fukikaeshi for better protection from potential strikes to the face. But the newest innovation is this, the sendan no ita and the kyubi no ita. What are these? The sendan no ita and kyubi no ita were to protect the armpits when shooting arrows. When the O-sode sleeve is pulled back to shoot, the ita replaces the sleeve for protection. The lower-class warriors were not going to war on horseback, but had a more active role on the battlefield, running and wielding weapons. So instead of the O-yoroi specifically made for horse riding, lower class warriors were wearing a much more flexible armor called domaru and haramaki. If you wanted to dress up as a Japanese pirate, this is what they wore. Pirates had to move swiftly over ships, and they mostly wielded spears with hooks on them to hook enemies and throw them into the water. Going into the Muromachi period, battlefields moved from flat land to mountainous areas. The O-yoroi more or less disappears because horses were not needed anymore, leaving the more flexible domaru and haramaki armor to rule the battlefield among all warrior classes. The domaru was tied at the right, and the haramaki was tied in the back. The kusazuri skirts multiply from 4 to 6 to 7 pieces, making it easier for running and climbing. As the period moves on, the sleeves start to get smaller and smaller, until by the Sengoku period they mostly disappear, leading to tsubosode sleeves. War becomes a way of life during the Sengoku period, and a faster way to make armor was necessary. Kiritsuke armor appears. The manufacture of the metal plates becomes more abbreviated by forging a row of metal plates together to make one row rather than forging individual plates for cording. This leads to a faster way of construction. But also, personal identity became a very important thing to the people of the Sengoku period. Armor became more of a fashion statement. With war and death being a normal part of life, warriors did not want to die looking like everyone else. They wanted to make a statement. Also, influence from outside of Japan started coming into the country. Spanish and European armor became fashionable for its large metal plates at the front covering the chest, echoing back to the Tanko armor 1,000 years before. Helmets started becoming strange and unusual. Fukikaeshi disappears because the face is completely covered by membo masks. In 1615, the last major battle in Japan occurs, and this leads to the peaceful Tokugawa era. Armor development stops here, but you may be interested to know that armor is still being produced only in Kagoshima and Kyoto prefectures, but they're mostly being produced for decorative purposes. Armor are used today as decoration for Boys' Day on May 5th, or in festivals like period parades or shrine processions. Here is what armor produced today looks like. Tell me in the comments what period of armor you think this is. I am being dressed by my Iai sensei, Ogawa Ryusui, who very patiently taught me about the world of Japanese armor for this video. If you got this far, you're a true history fan. You're awesome! I hope you found the history of Japanese armor development interesting. And I hope this will help the next time you visit a museum and see the armor being displayed there. Look, that skirt there? That's called kusazuri. Want more? Check out my next video on how to put on a full set of Japanese armor. But that's all I have for today. See you next time.
極度南春でございました。